Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 PATH International Annual Meeting. I'm Kathy Alm. I'm the CEO of PATH International, and the other faces that you see across your screen are the PATH International Board of Trustees. Thank you all for being here today. I'm so glad everybody is able to join us today to learn about the work PATH International board, staff, and volunteers have been doing on your behalf, as well as getting an update on the state of the industry. If you would like to say hello or you have questions, please put them in the chat. If there are any questions, we will try to answer them during or after certain reports. But if there are more than a couple of questions, we will then try to answer them at the end of the presentation. If we don't have time, we will contact you after the presentation with an answer. So I'd like to start with a poll. And the question is, what is your main role in equine assisted services? Okay, looks like the results are in. We have other is the highest percentage at 40%, which tells me if you would like to put what other is in the chat, that would be great for us to know for future polls. But we have a strong showing of administrators and then instructors, licensed therapists, and equine specialists and equine managers. So again, welcome all of you and thank you for joining us today. And now I would like to welcome and introduce the President of the Board of Trustees, Scott Carver, to start the meeting.
Good morning. It's a true pleasure to welcome you all to our annual meeting and award ceremony. I'd like to call this meeting to order and start by thanking you for being here today. Your commitment to our mission is what drives the success of this organization. And today is a time to reflect on what we've achieved together. We're proud of the impact we've made this year, and it's because of your dedication, your hard work, and passion that we continue to grow and serve those who need us most. Today, we'll not only take a moment to reflect, but also to honor those among us who have gone above and beyond in making a difference. So thank you for your continued support and for the incredible work you do every day. Now, let's make this a memorable and inspiring gathering. And with that being said, I'd like to turn it over to our secretary, Jessica Norman.
Thank you, Scott. Hello, everyone. I'd like to echo everything Scott said and just say it's been an honor to continue to serve as your board secretary for this past year. Thank you so much for all that each and every one of you do for equine assisted services. And I'd also like to take a moment to just honor and thank the equines that allow us to provide these services, because without them, we wouldn't be here. And with that, I would make a motion to approve the minutes from the 2023 PATH International Annual Meeting.
I second that.
Thank you, Aviva. And with that, I believe Rain is going to put up a second poll to allow members to vote on passing those minutes.
Looks like the minutes have been approved.
Thank you, everyone. And with that, I will pass it back to either Rain or Scott.
Thank you. So as board president, I'm immensely proud of everything we've achieved together. Thanks to the collective dedication of each of you, our staff, volunteers, donors, and partners, we've made a meaningful impact on the lives of those we serve. Every step we take, every program we run, and every resource we provide makes a difference. The impact we make is not just in the number of outcomes, it's also the stories of real people whose lives are touched by your dedication. It's the smiles of those who feel seen or heard, the confidence restored in some, or the hope reignited in their family and friends that it's just going to be okay. So together, we're not just a not-for-profit, but we're a force of positive change. And with each step forward, we're creating a ripple effect that will continue to improve lives for years to come. Now, I love inspirational quotes for those who know me. And one of my favorite quotes comes from a movie, The Power of One, I used to watch as a kid. And this is where this character, PK, is trying to change the world. And he's being met with resistance and heartache around every corner. And just when you think he should throw in the towel, his mentor sparks that hope and desire deep down. And he says, a waterfall begins with just one drop of water. And so while we're all a group of many that are tied to a common goal, your involvement has a ripple effect that creates a positive and impactful change to hundreds of participants. So with that being said, I'd like to zoom our focus in for a moment to a single member. The Path International President's Award is an award dedicated upon and given by the Board of Trustees President to an individual or group of individuals who have, with enthusiasm and dedication, supported the President and endeavored to bring about the success of the association's strategic initiatives. It's my distinct honor to recognize and celebrate an extraordinary individual whose dedication to Path International has truly made a lasting impact. And that person is Julie Broadway. So for many years, Julie has been a tireless advocate for our mission and a driving force behind our strategic vision, not once, but twice. Her commitment to the organization has gone far beyond expectations, and her work has helped to shape the path we are on today. Whether through her leadership on the Strategic Planning Committee or her unwavering passion for our cause, Julie has consistently gone above and beyond to ensure the success of Path International and the people we serve. Julie's hard work on the strategic plan has been nothing short of transformative. She helped bring clarity, focus, and innovative ideas to the table to steer the process towards goals that are not only ambitious, but also achievable. Her ability to bring people together and really to inspire collaboration and to think long-term has been a guiding light throughout the process as we continue to evolve and grow. Now, in addition to her work on the strategic planning, Julie has been a dedicated volunteer for many years. She's given her time, energy, and expertise to strengthen our programs, build relationships, and raise awareness about the importance of our work. Her commitment to the mission has been evident in every project she's touched, and her efforts have made a profound difference in the lives of so many. Julie, we are deeply grateful for everything you've done. We're stronger and more focused because of you, and we're privileged to have you as part of this organization. So on behalf of the entire Path International family, thank you for your years of service, your visionary leadership, and your unwavering commitment to our mission. You truly embody the spirit of what we do, and we are forever thankful for the impact you have made. So please join me in honoring Julie Broadway as this year's President Award recipient.
Julie, would you like to say a couple words?
Well, sure. Thank you for the surprise, Scott, and to the board and to all. It's been my honor and privilege to be on the board, to work with you guys on the strategic plan, to help with the credentialing council. I'm very much, Kathy can tell you, a big proponent of our Society of Visionaries. So it all comes together, and it takes a village, and I'm just glad to be part of that overall effort. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, Julie. We really appreciate it. And with that being said, We're going to now turn it over to our governance chair, Christina Sorensen.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. As Scott said, I'm Christina Sorensen. I'm the governance chair on our board of trustees, longtime PATH International member and registered instructor. And it's always an honor and pleasure to serve such a great community. And I've really been inspired by some of the centers that I visited and the ability to talk to you in the future. With that, I'm going to review the voting process for trustees and announce our trustees and regional representatives. So hopefully you can see on this slide, the voting process is pretty simple. Basically, all votes are received and recorded at PATH International's administrative offices in Westminster, Colorado. The survey was distributed at the end of August and closed at the end of September. Survey ballots were then counted by our CEO, Kathy, as well as two members of the PATH International staff, Anna Warburton, and who's the executive assistant, and then Allison Gleaton, who's our credentialing support specialist, verified the results. The results were then certified to existing elected trustees within 10 days of the count on October 2nd, 2024. So that's the process. And next slide, we have our board of trustee members for their next term is Ashley Phelps Dunn and Aviva Vincent, both of whom we're excited to have serving second terms on the board. Moving on to our region reps, we have our Region 2 representative, Valerie Kasarkuko. Sorry if I butcher names here. Our Region 4 representative will be Brooke Archer. And 6th representative will be Sharon Gare, and Region 8 will be MG Tyndall. And our Region 10 rep will be Jessica Arts. So congratulations and a big thank you to all of those who stepped up to serve as regional representatives and also board of trustee members. So thank you. It's a lot of time and effort, but it's for a wonderful cause. And with that, I will turn it over to Robin, who is our treasurer, for the finance report.
Good morning and good afternoon. If you happen to have any questions related to this particular part of our presentation, please put them in chat and we will try and respond as soon as we can. So on our next slide, this is what we're going to be covering this morning, the year-end financial results. And the year we're discussing is the one ended on June 30, 2024. It's currently being audited by our external auditors, Altruic Advisors. There were no new accounting standard updates this year that we needed to incorporate into our financials. And while the statements are still in process of being audited when they're completed, they'll be posted on the website after the January Board of Trustees meeting at which they'll be reviewed. So on the next slide, we show here are the numbers, as it were, that talks about our business performance from the year just ended. These are the unaudited numbers as of June 30 compared to the previous year, June 30, 2023. And as we can see, revenues increased 32%, while expenses only increased 2%. The important thing to note is that this change is primarily due to the generous grant for innovation circles, and the expenses related to that grant will be incurred in future periods, which is why the revenue is higher in 2024, but the expenses are lower. In addition, assets increased by $670,000, with cash balances increasing by $179,000. Liabilities went down $188,000, and net assets increased $488,000. On the next slide, the major news in our financial results. As I mentioned earlier, PATH International received an $825,000 grant to develop and execute the Innovation Circles program to support center sustainability. And under current accounting guidance, we are required to report the entire amount of that grant, even though the grant will actually provide services over the next 3 years. So there's a bump in revenue for the year ending June 30, 2024. The corresponding expenses related to the Innovation Circles grant will occur over the 3-year period. And as you could see from the numbers we just reviewed, only a small amount was incurred in the last year. Our cash position remains strong based on grant receipts and other revenue growth. So to dive in a little bit deeper, here is a chart showing the breakdown of revenue, where the revenue came from for the year just ended. Grants at 35%, including the Innovation Circles grant, and contributions at 27% were the primary contributors, followed by accreditation, certification, and education-related activities. On the expense side, the next slide, we see the breakdown of expenses with 80%, 81% committed to programs, 18% for general and administrative expense, and 1% for fundraising. The good news is that the combined general and administrative and fundraising expenses at 19% are well within the benchmark standard for organizations like ours. The next slide takes that 80% of program expenses and breaks it down a little bit further. Not surprising, the major expenses are related to membership, followed at 46%, followed by credentialing at 28%, and education at 26%. This slide shows the progress in our net assets over the last 5 years. It's reflective of our financial equity growth over time. And as we discussed previously, there was a significant increase in 2024 due to the Innovation Circles grant. And the increase, as you can see, is primarily assets with donor restrictions, since the Innovation Circles grant is restricted as to purpose. And then finally, our noteworthy takeaways show a strong financial picture. Again, the new Innovation Circles grant will help us accelerate our support of strong centers nationwide. A strong cash and cash equivalent balance provides almost 8 months of cash on hand, which meets the recommended benchmark of 6 to 9 months. Our net assets are growing, which gives us resources to support programs in education in the future. And our spending on administrative expenses at 18% remains low and is within those benchmark standards I mentioned of 15 to 25%. We are awaiting completion of the audit, but expect that we will receive a clean opinion with no material adjustments. And our continued focus in terms of where we're using our funds is on membership retention and reactivation. So if there, Rain, are there any questions that we need to address at this point? If not, I'm going to turn it back over to Kathy.
There are no questions right now.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for the great report. Hello, everyone again. It has been my honor to be, it is my honor to be CEO of PATH International and to have been CEO for the last 10 years. It has been wonderful to lead and work with so many of you, to work with this fabulous board of trustees and the very dedicated and hardworking staff and all of the volunteers that come from our membership in order to move PATH International forward, in order to move your services forward, in order to move the industry forward. So now I want to put up a quick poll and find out how long those of you on the call have been a PATH International member. Okay, it looks like more than 15 years, 44%, 6 to 10 years, 23%, 11 to 15 years, 21%. We have 9% of non-members and 1 to 5 years, 3%. So it's great to know who's on the call with us. That's a pretty nice spread of members on the call. So I know I already said a little bit about this, but I really want to start my CEO report section by thanking all of the volunteers and committees, including the Board of Trustees and the Credentialing Council, that work tirelessly all year long to fulfill PATH International's mission. We could not have accomplished so much for the membership and credentialed professionals without your work and your support. I also want to give a shout out to the PATH International staff for their dedication. Between the volunteers, committees, and staff, we have had another successful year in serving our members and credentialed professionals and the industry. As a group, we accomplished a great deal that I am happy to be part of sharing with you. So I'm going to start with the state of the industry, some statistics. The stats that you see are from calendar year 2023, unless otherwise noted. So our center members are 767, which is down from 794, although we had more centers than rejoin later in 2024. Premier accredited centers, 242, which is down from 253, which is also not surprising because centers renewed later and some chose not to renew their accreditation. And we have a huge backlog of centers reaccrediting and new centers accrediting. We are working on that backlog, and as we work through that backlog, we will then focus on a campaign to bring bring folks back, as well as bring in new folks. And we continue to work on increasing Premier accredited center benefits to increase that value. Individual members is 3,967, which is slightly up from 3,928. We remained at a steady 57% retention rate for the last 2 fiscal years. And certified professionals are 4,875, which is up from 4,737. Few more stats for you. The number of centers reporting for 2023 was 683, which was up from 529 in 2022. We worked hard at improving the functionality for completing the center renewal booklet online, which garnered us a little bit more report and information. Total equines, 7,696, which is up from 5,251. Total number of center employees is 4,408, which is up from 3,024. Total number of center volunteers, this number, 51,995, and that's up from 38,994. Total number of participants, 71,288, up from 46,629. Unfortunately, the participant waiting list, it has gone up to 16,166, which is doubled. It's up from, basically doubled, it is up from 8,924. So everybody's working really hard and trying to expand services, but I think it really demonstrates the need. Our communities need the types of services that you're able to offer. Specialty programs offered, programs have really diversified. I think that's also indicated by the increased number of participants, primarily through equine-assisted learning and equine-assisted psychotherapy. The top 5 disabilities represented by participants: autism, attention deficit disorder or other hyperactivity disorder, developmental delay or disability, learning disability, and then emotional, behavioral, and or mental health issues, which is only the second time that has been in the top 5. Previously, cerebral palsy and Down syndrome were in the top 5. Our center budget size, over half the centers have budgets greater than 100,000, with significant increases in centers with budgets between 20 and 49,000 and 200,000 and 499,000, continuing to demonstrate growth. We continued our work in representing Path International and the industry through a variety of presentations, representations, and connections as seen by the list on your screen. We also continued our efforts to connect directly with members through region conferences and center visits. Giving a little bit of update on some initiatives we worked on all year. We have partnered with the Temple Grandin Equine Center on an assessment protocol initiative to gather data on the quality of life impact of therapeutic adaptive riding on participants. We've been talking about this for a while now. We have chosen the assessments. They come from the Promise and NIH Toolbox, and we are currently working on an app-based data collection process. We plan to pilot this with centers next fall, and our plan is to have a standardized assessment process for measuring the health and social impact of therapeutic adaptive riding on participants that would allow us to gather that data in aggregate, as well as provide that data to the centers that gather the data on their particular participants, which would allow centers to use that information to demonstrate the efficacy of this service, particularly for funders. As Robin mentioned in her finance report, the Suzanne McGrath Foundation awarded Path International an $825,000 grant over 3 years to dramatically expand the Innovation Circles program. This program provides valuable training to leaders of Path International therapeutic horsemanship centers nationwide. It's a business skill development program focused on fundraising, board development, and best business practices. It's for centers of all sizes. With this grant, we were able to expand it to provide one-to-one coaching after the 6-month course is over for center administrators. And that one of the important things is that registration for the first course on fundraising, Fundraising Essentials, is currently open, and the course will begin in February. We worked with the American Hippotherapy Association and the Colorado Medicaid Office to remove exclusion language from Colorado State Medicaid program to clear the way for PTs, SLPs, and OTs to be covered by Medicaid, and provide clear language for the Colorado Medicaid waiver program to cover therapeutic or adaptive riding. I want to give a shout out to Board of Trustees, Trustee Adam Dario, who was very instrumental in this effort. And now unless Rain, there are any questions, I would like to turn it over to Brett Masiak, Director of Credentialing.
There are no questions at this time.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Wait, sorry, Brett. My bad. Wrong note. I had one more slide. Okay. And that was to update everybody on the priorities that the board set in May of 2023. And that the priorities are listed on your screen with the trek to clarity for the CTRI. Communications were sent throughout the year. We are creating the CTRI prep workshops. Principles of Therapeutic Riding has been released and utilized by centers, and the CTRI prep workshop is nearing completion, and we expect to pilot that in the spring. CTRI, the NCCA accreditation communication, we've been working on public-facing communication on the importance of the accreditation. The action plan for the CTRI accreditation, already mentioned one with the Colorado Medicaid waiver program. We're looking at Medicaid waiver programs bringing the accreditation of the CTRI forward, which means that the Medicaid waivers will recognize the CTRI as a credential and therefore be willing to cover it, just like Colorado. We are working on a plan for the next state to address. Most likely it's going to be Texas, and we will continue to work with the American Hippotherapy Association. We have continued our member retention and reactivation campaign and initiatives, and working on a member level review. Educating and training mentors and supervisors for CTRI process. New mentor training is offered, and the difference between a mentor and a supervisor was clarified. The CTRI study guide was updated. A volunteer toolkit for centers was released, and with the help of an intern, we increased our social media presence. One more slide, Brett. Sorry about that. Just wanted to touch briefly on some exciting future initiatives. We have received a $300,000 grant from the National Philanthropic Trust to support a credentialing scholarship fund for instructors, as well as public policy education on EAS. This is a direct result of us hearing from the centers about one of your biggest pain points being finding credentialed professionals to provide services and being able to get them the training and get them through certification. So through this grant, we will offer Path International Centers funding for instructor training and certification in order to increase the pool of available instructors. In addition, we will be expanding the initiative to secure Medicaid funding for PT, OT, SLP, and Medicaid waiver funding for adaptive therapeutic horsemanship. We expect to release the grant process early next year. We are also very close to announcing an additional significant grant to provide centers with funding for service provider training, so additional service provider training and certification, as well as participant financial aid at the full cost. So keep an eye on the e-news for more information about both of those grants. Now I would like to introduce Brett Masiak, Director of Credentialing.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here today with you. The credentialing department continues to be very, very busy. Kathy, if you can move to the next slide, please. One of our biggest focuses continues to be being a member of several professional organizations that promote excellence in credentialing. So to that end, we continue to be a member of the Institute of Credentialing Excellence, or ICE, which is a leading developer of standards for both certification and certificate programs. And through demonstrating compliance with the standards that ICE has put forth for certification programs, we achieved accreditation of the Certified Therapeutic Riding Instructor, or CTRI certification, through the National Commission for Certifying Agencies, NCCA, which is the accrediting arm of ICE. We also continue to be a member of the Professional Certification Coalition, the PCC. The PCC was founded to address legislation that affects professional certification programs, those who hold private certification credentials, and the many constituencies that rely on the professionals with those certifications. The PCC is an unincorporated nonprofit association, and it's actually governed by a steering committee of the Institute of Credentialing Excellence and the American Society of Association Executives. The coalition's work promotes best practices in certification and seeks to align legislation, both at a federal level and state level, with those practices. Wherever possible, the PCC seeks to amend the legislation rather than opposing it, so that laudable objectives of the legislation can be achieved while also avoiding harm to those who use or rely on professional certification, such as employers, reimbursers, and the general public, as well as individual professionals themselves who achieve professional certification status. The PCC efforts are buttressed by the ASAE established Tomorrow's Workforce Coalition, which Path International became a member of in this last year. The coalition is a no-cost coalition focused exclusively on the bill that has 875 organizational members, or on the bill of Freedom to Invest in America, or Freedom to Invest. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And the coalition has 875 organizational members. In a few minutes, we'll take a closer look at all of the activities that the PCC has been working on over the last year. And so as a member of PCC, we are also supporting. Path International is committed to maintaining these memberships as well as NCCA accreditation as demonstration to our members, certified professionals, and the public of our dedication to the advancement of professional equine assisted services through rigorously developed credentialing practices. Next slide. Here now you'll see a snapshot of the numbers of our certified professionals. Most notably, overall, there is an increase from the previous year. In two areas in particular, advanced TRIs and equine specialists in mental health and learning. We had big boosts in these numbers, largely driven by people reinstating certifications that had expired over the last 3 years. So that's exciting to see people come back now that things have changed, presumably economically. They're able to return to doing these services at centers. And so we did see an increase in those two areas in particular, but overall, like I said, additional increase. And we did certify 3 new master TRIs recently. So that's exciting as well. Next slide. Okay. And for as far as developing courses and workshops, we continue to do that tirelessly, expending many resources on those efforts. The past year saw the launch of the Fundamentals of Equine Assisted Learning online course. So that's an online course that was created to train EAL professionals on the Path International approved EAL competencies so that they can establish appropriate qualifications and facilitation skills to safely and effectively deliver EAL programming. This is also, we teach all of the concepts of EAL facilitation in accordance with the EAL guidelines in the standards manual. In addition to that, we now also offer an EAL certificate program, which requires completion of the online fundamentals course and documentation of 60 hours of group and one-on-one EAL facilitation. And with that certificate, majority of insurance companies are recognizing people as being fully qualified to offer EAL, so insurance coverage is expanded. Additionally, we have the Principles of Therapeutic Riding workshop. This workshop series is derived from the previous registered therapeutic riding instructor on-site workshop. And it's been developed to be delivered in segments to provide foundational education about therapeutic riding for a variety of audiences. So that can include program volunteers, center boards, potential grantors, and as well as the general community. As a whole, it provides broad and fundamental training for CTRIs, so it establishes a good jumping off point for focused mentorship in TRI. And to that end, Path International member centers have access to a sample 6-phase training schedule as a starting point to create a CTRI mentorship program. And within that training schedule, we have provided guidance on how to incorporate the principles workshop into the training for those folks just to further buttress their education as they prepare to become certified. We also have an updated mentor training course. This is a collaboration with the credentialing and education departments to update this course, which has served as a pivotal resource for professionals growing instructors in training. And the updates incorporate information for certified professionals mentoring CTRIs in particular. So we've expanded that section of the course. Individuals who completed the mentor training in the past are invited to retake the course and or participate in mentor seminars at Path International conferences. And these seminars were presenting the current certification processes and requirements for all Path International certification programs. So it's an intensive full day of going over those processes and requirements to make sure that mentors understand how they can best guide their mentees. And I'd really like to extend a thank you to all of the volunteers of the Path International Certification Oversight Committee and certification subcommittees for representing Path International members and certified professionals through the ongoing support and development of all of the aforementioned items here. And last but not least, we continue a communication series intended to bring clarity to the Path International CTRI certification program by providing background and context for the certification requirements, as well as to provide helpful tips to CTRI applicants and professionals supporting them. Each communication in the Trek to Clarity series addresses a different topic related to one or more of the CTRI certification requirements, and it covers frequently asked questions related to that topic. So we encourage you to take a look at those communications to learn more. Next slide. As a member of the previously mentioned PCC, Path International is following developments in federal and state legislation that may impact our association and our certified professionals. Among the relevant legislation being monitored is the Freedom to Invest in Tomorrow's Workforce Act, the Rebuild Skills Act, and a bill that would capture information about professional recognized or specifically accredited credentials as part of the US Census. So this would give us more information about the people out there that hold, that are performing jobs professionally with the help of holding accredited certification. The PCC's work on the Freedom to Invest in Tomorrow's Workforce Act has resulted in 149 House members and 25 senators joining the bill as co-sponsors. And it has also compelled the House Ways and Means Committee to approve the legislation this last summer. That's enormous progress, but even so, it's unlikely that Congress will pass the bill before the end of the year. But the Council is redoubling their efforts to ensure that it can be signed into law early in the coming congressional year. So that'll be a big advancement for us that will open up funding for folks to pursue Path International certifications as a credit certification. At the state level, the PCC is highly engaged in monitoring and drafting and proposing clean slate bills or other bills that restrict the consideration of criminal conviction history. And these are largely by occupational licensure boards, but it does include also private certification organizations such as Path International or professional or trade associations. So these bills are constantly changing and require diligent monitoring to ensure that they do not hinder private certification programs from issuing certification in accordance with practices that make the most sense for the industries that they serve. So it's important for us to continue to stay on top of that so that we can have provide a voice of our membership regarding that state legislation. Next slide. Here before you now, you have your Path International Credentialing Council. These are the professionals that serve to represent Path International members as the Credentialing Council looks at our accreditation practices and what certifications we want to accredit, and then maintaining accreditation, particularly of the CTRI certification. I always like to make sure you have their names, you recognize their names, because they, as the board, represent you, they serve you. So I always like to make sure you have this information handy. We did have an election this last or recently, which saw moving Ross Braun from one position to another so that we can continue to expand on the council. Rain, do we have any questions?
Yes, there was one that came through, and it is for those who took the old version of the mentor training course or who are being invited to take it again, do they need to pay for the course again, or is it a retake fee or discounted?
Good question. So there's a couple of different ways that it's delivered. There's the online, there's also in person. So for the in-person in particular, the fee will depend on what it's linked to, whether that's national conference or regional conferences. So that pricing will depend on that. The online course will remain at full price, even if you're retaking it, because it is vastly changed. It has vastly changed. We will run specials on that from time to time, so keep an eye. You can find yourself a coupon or a promotional code there. But in general, it's because it is vastly different. We are presenting it as a new course, largely as a new course. Any other questions, Rain?
That's all for now.
Great. Then I'd like to turn it over to Carrie, Director of Membership and Operations.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, everyone. Over this past year, we have continued our work on the retention and reactivation campaign for members. One of the more exciting benefits that we have been working on is going to actually be launching today. So it's not in last fiscal year, but we are excited to announce that through a new partnership with USA Sports Benefits, we are able to make available to all levels of our members guaranteed issue health insurance. So please watch for that broadcast email to come out today to give you more information. One other exciting thing that will be coming out later this week or early next week is a new center benefit that we also get to through the partnership with USA Sports Benefits. Centers will have available access to offer group insurance plans to their employees. So please watch for that information as we kind of wrap that one up. That'll be coming out soon. This year, with partnership or working with the region leadership team, we also were able to provide 5 free education webinars, and those are on Member Connection. So we are now up to almost 11 free CEUs available to our members. We've also continued to add resources and promote the networking opportunities on Member Connection. There's a new benefit that we have been working on that should be launching hopefully after the first of the year on Member Connection for our CTRI candidates and mentoring. This year we focused on member spotlights on social media. Those were very well received and got a lot of great feedback from those. The center renewal process in the database or in the member portal was greatly improved. Our number of centers who have actually completed the center renewal data, which provides the data for our fact sheet, went up by 154 centers from 2023 to 2024. So I guess 24 to 25 center renewals. So the improvements, it seems, are really working, and we're very excited about that, and we'll continue to make improvements in the portal. In the middle of the summer, we were able to send all of our centers this beautiful poster that they can post in their barns to help their participants, community volunteers understand why they are a member of PATH International and what that actually means. We were very excited to be able to do this and offer this to our centers, and got wonderful feedback, lots of pictures from the centers where they posted it. So if you'd like to provide those, feel free to share, because we'd love to see where those are. Next up, we have a center accreditation update. In 2022 and 2023 virtual or fiscal year, we were able to complete 38 virtual visits. In the 23-24 year, we were able to do 19 visits. Our virtual site visitors are doing the best that they can, and we have plans to increase those numbers coming up at the beginning of the year. Staff, the accreditation committee, and volunteer site visitors are working very hard on an aggressive 2-year plan to complete the backlog of centers waiting for reaccreditation and still allow for new center accreditations to happen. All of the centers with original lapse dates of 21 and 22 will be completed by June of 2025. And centers with original lapse dates in 2023 and 24 will be completed by June of 2026. This will complete our backlog of all centers waiting for reaccreditation. Rain, was there any questions?
There are no questions.
All right, thank you. And next, I'd like to introduce Dion Newton, our chair of the Membership Outreach Committee.
Hello. First, I'd like to just explain that the role of the Membership Outreach Committee is to assist PATH with initiatives to support members and potential members in the equine assisted services industry, and to lead the region leadership teams in outreach efforts. The focus of the MOC in 23-24 year was to create and offer free virtual education to the PATH members. There are currently 61 volunteers that make up the Membership Outreach Committee, including an MOC chair, 11 region representatives, and 49 ambassadors. We also additionally have staff members that regularly support us in our efforts. Based on the information gathered from the MOC and RLT throughout the monthly outreach reports, there were 1,726 hours that were spent doing outreach to PATH International members and centers, which is equivalent to over $57,000. This number does fall short, however, because not all hours are reported on those reports. So we just know that there is a lot of time and effort spent through your membership outreach committee. There were also an additional 879 hours devoted to region conferences, and that number also is the equivalent value of over almost $30,000. So there's a lot of volunteer time that's being offered. Then according to our according to those outreach reports, there were almost 6,000 occurrences of communication between the MOC and region leadership teams with PATH members and centers. The primary topics of discussion were the CTRI process, certification candidates seeking mentors, credentialing, individual membership, center accreditation, and continuing education. As Carrie mentioned earlier, the MOC has created 5 new virtual education events during the fiscal year that are now available on Member Connection. And as she also mentioned, there are approximately 11 hours of free continuing education available to members. There were 10 region conferences held this past fiscal year, that were attended by nearly 1,000 individuals. Facebook continues to be the most popular form of social media used by the membership, and Member Connection is also being utilized a little bit better. We now have 24 different communities, including one for each region. And within that, offering the free virtual education available through Member Connections is also helping to boost the engagement in Member Connections. Region 1, for outreach to the community, Region 1 attended the Equine Affair and reported 118 various conversations with people who stopped by the booth. The conversations were instructor certification, general PATH information, and people looking to find a PATH center in their area. In 2023-24, each region representative position was filled and remained filled. However, we are still looking for more ambassadors to help share the load. As we continue to work together to provide exemplary support to the association and membership, I personally would like to thank all of the MOC and RLT members, as well as our Board of Trustees, for the continued support, time, talent, leadership, and dedication. Is there any questions? As you can see on the screen, these are your region representatives currently, and you noted that there were some that will be coming in based on the elections. The next slide, please. For 2025, Polly Cohen has been recommended and approved by the Board of Trustees as the MOC chair moving forward. Are there any questions at all?
There are no questions for you, Dion, but Carrie, I do have one question for you. Rachel was curious if there was any movement on the site visitor trainings.
Yes, there is. So we have been working hard on putting together a hybrid training so we can reach more individuals and prepare them for both the virtual and in person. So we should be piloting that in probably early next year, January or February. I do have some centers who are interested in hosting the on-site portion of that.
Perfect. Thank you, Carrie. Dion, that is all the questions for right now.
Okay, great. With that, I'd like to turn the time over to Aviva Vincent. She is a trustee and chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Hey, everybody. It's really good to connect with you today, and I'm excited to share what we've been up to over the last year within our committee. So we have been very busy, and I have a phenomenal group to thank for that. So if you go to the next slide, please, you'll see everybody who's been a part of the committee in the last year. And this is both volunteers from our shared community giving of their time, as well as staff and Kathy herself coming in and joining and participating. So thank you very, very much. And please know that we do have an open call for committee members and would love to welcome more people to our DEI committee. So as we go through some of our accomplishments and what's on the horizon, if this speaks to you and you're interested, please feel free to reach out to me directly if you have questions, or if you would like the application, either Anna or I could get that to you. So thank you very much for that. And thank you to everybody who's participated. Now, for those who are a little bit more new to who we are and what we're doing, so we are an advisory group that was given the charge to support the Board of Trustees and staff to create, support, and promote a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture. Together, we're a resource really to the board and the staff towards recognizing and realizing diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's at all levels. So that's at those who are working at centers, for participants trying to make things as accessible and inclusive as possible. And the way that we go about that is to provide feedback to the board around goals and objectives. So we're going to walk through some of that together today. Implementing an action plan that's specific to DEI goals and objectives, and then sharing, which is some of our favorite part, sharing out our successes and our challenges through implementation with the community and getting feedback. So we had a couple of goals, if you will. And so there is more information. If you would like more, I'm happy to talk with you about what's kind of embedded within this. I wanted to make the slides as less words as possible, and yet there's still a lot to share with you today. So our first goal is around commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion within the organizational programs to expand access, and engagement, and participation from marginalized and underrepresented people and communities. We have different objectives to do that, and what I'm going to share with you today is what we have done to meet those objectives. So we did a review of the Code of Ethics to make sure that the language that we are all attesting to when we sign that Code of Ethics or attest to it is inclusive. We did the same thing with the standards. So we went through the standards manual and came up with some guidelines for those who are curious about how to actually practice DEI a little bit more. And we have some ongoing opportunities to learn and connect through our book club. And so those who are interested in joining our book club, we have an upcoming date and the book. And so we will put that in in the chat as well if anybody is interested. We had at the 2023 National Conference an affinity space, a DEI booth, and DEI sessions. And it's really important that we continue to offer that explicitly and consistently. And then we included demographic questions, which increased data collection, which was then used by centers towards their own grant writing and applications and other resources. So this was really usable data that we were able to start collecting pretty quickly and put right into action. And then we established the DEI scholarship, and 5 scholarships were awarded to attend the conference last year. Goal 2 was that we build intentional relationships with marginalized and underrepresented individuals and communities to increase collaboration, model diversity, equity, and inclusion. The way that we went about that was to welcome 2 new members to our committee over the last year. They've been amazing. Continue conversations around helmet accessibility. This is actually a research study that's being led, and we have a forthcoming paper around that. So trying to actually get into the conversation with manufacturers to change the systems, right? That about helmet accessibility, not just talk about the issue. We did develop a resource sheet. So again, if you're someone who is in the community, wants to learn more, do more, you want to know who or organizations that are doing work in this area, we have a resource sheet that is accessible. We have presented at a couple region conferences and intend to do more next year. And that's of our committee making the effort to go out to those region conferences and actually present on DEI as well. And then we did a short, quick survey, which thank you to anybody who answered it, around perspectives of diversity, equity, inclusion from your work and of our work. So thank you to those who have responded to that. And then the third and final goal is that we invest in and develop organizational practices to ensure increasing representation of marginalized and or underrepresented persons in staff, board, and volunteer leadership to model a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the way that we have addressed that in this past year, is generating a list. So our committee got together and really thought hard about a list of community partners that we wanted to know more about. So this wasn't an ask of them like, hey, do you want to join PATH? Or do you want to do a C or something that we're asking of people? But it was really us going out and saying, hey, what do you do in this area? How can we partner together if there is a organic opportunity to do so? Or is there a way that we're already doing similar work and some synergy to be had? So just to learn more about what's happening in our community and beyond kind of the boundaries. And so we've started to have some of those conversations as well. And then we, in the board strategic plan that was discussed earlier, we were very intentional about making sure that DEI objectives stay within the context of our strategic plan. So hopefully at some point in the future, it's just that something we do, it's just embedded in how we do. But right now it is something that we're really intentional to say it's important that we are a diverse organization, that we're an inclusive organization, and we're an equitable organization. And I believe that we are, and we need to continue to be explicit in doing so. Looking ahead, the DEI committee has been actively creating a CE for center level access. So hopefully that will be accessible to you shortly in the next calendar year. We are reviewing current educational materials similar to how the Code of Ethics and the standards documents were reviewed to make sure that language is inclusive. Again, presenting at multiple conferences, so you'll see us at the regional conferences. There are going to be those guidelines added to the standards manual. So we're not changing the standards, we're offering guidelines within the standards manual based on some of the things that we read and we're considering. Continuing to grow the committee and our representation. We are going to be transitioning to a new chair. So my term is ending very soon, and Stephanie Farr is going to be stepping in as the new chair. And we are going to continue to engage in critical, meaningful conversations that advance our work and purpose. And to that last point, if you have ideas or things that you want to see us do, I welcome you to share thoughts and feedback. And I'm always up for a conversation and to listen. So thank you very, very much. And with that, sorry, I'm going to pass it over to Ed Milford, our past president and of the Board of Trustees. Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome. Thanks, Aviva. Good day to all. Thank you for giving me this time to talk about your new board officers that will be coming in the next period. I chaired the nomination committee, which consisted of Ashley Phillips Dunn, as well as Kathy Elm, who is a non-voting board member. So our officers for the upcoming year will be Scott Carver. Congratulations, Scott. Robin Kruger. Congratulations, Robin. Aviva Vincent. Congratulations. I will continue as past president. Brandon Momini as the president-elect. Congratulations. And our member at large will be Jessica Norman. Congratulations all to the new board members, and let's congratulate them and welcome them in as the new board officers. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Scott Carver at this time. Mr. President.
Thank you, Ed.
Yep.
Well, it is my honor to recognize and express our deepest gratitude to two extraordinary individuals who have been invaluable to this board. So as many of you know, Adam and KC have dedicated years of service to our organization, working tirelessly to support our mission, guide our growth, and ensure we remain focused on making a lasting impact. While they are both now rolling off the board due to reaching their term limits, their legacy of service will continue to resonate with PATH International for years to come. Throughout their time with us, Adam and KC have been more than just board members. They have been true leaders. They contributed countless hours to committee work, provided strategic direction during pivotal moments, brought fresh ideas that have helped shape the vision of our future, and they asked tough questions and worked diligently behind the scenes to ensure we remained on track. Beyond their roles on the board, Adam and KC have given their time and energy to our programs in ways that have directly benefited those we serve. So as they step down from their board roles, we want to acknowledge their impact goes further beyond their term limits. They've been a driving force in the growth and success, and we are deeply grateful for their dedication, hard work, and leadership. Adam and KC, on behalf of the entire Path International family, thank you for everything you've done for this organization. Your contributions have truly made a difference, and while we'll miss your presence on the board, we know your support and passion for our mission will continue to guide us as we move forward. So please join me in expressing our heartfelt thanks to Adam and KC for their years of service, their leadership, and their incredible dedication to Path International. Thank you both. So turning to the next slide, I'd like to open the floor. If there's any other business to be discussed, you can go ahead and enter that in the chat now. We'll give a few moments to see if anything comes through, Rain.
While we wait for that, Adam posted a comment in the chat just saying, I have enjoyed my experience and have been honored to be part of this organization's leadership. An open invitation to all to come visit me at the Temple Grandin Equine Center at Colorado State University. Best to you all, Adam.
Thank you, Adam. Very well said. And we'll take you up on that for sure. Rain, has anything come through?
There are no other comments, Scott.
Okay, all right, so hearing none, I'd like to ask one of today's presenters to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Aviva. Okay, so with that being said, I'd like to hand it back to Kathy to cover the sponsorship and discuss the upcoming award ceremony.
Thank you, Scott. You'll see on your screen our fabulous sponsors that help support us, not only financially, but also with some of their time and expertise. So I want to thank our sponsors for being such great partners for many, many years. And thank you everyone for attending this annual meeting.